it's my time. Ain't no looking back, I'm on the right track. Here she goes. Lucky, lucky, lucky me. Lucky, lucky, lucky me. I won, got it done. Lucky, lucky, lucky me. Lucky, lucky, lucky.
Hey everybody, happy Saturday and welcome to my channel. It's Wendy and I'm feeling all the fall vibes with these two Insta Pot recipes that I'm going to share with you. So we're going to have some potatoes and pork tenderloin and some baby carrots, and I'm also making an Insta Pot apple cobbler. It is delicious, so stay tuned. We're going to start out with a little bit of oil in the bottom of the Instant Pot. And we're going to sauté, set the Instant Pot on sauté to brown or braise the pork loin on each side. So it's going to be about 3 minutes per side. And this pork loin came already seasoned, so it's got a mesquite barbecue seasoning on it, and it's so yummy. So we're just going to let that sit in there and saute for 3 minutes on that side, and then we will flip it over. And then I have some red potatoes. Once this is done browning, we'll take the pork out and deglaze the pan because we want to leave all the good little bits of meat and seasoning inside the pan to make our gravy at the end. And then we will just put the red potatoes in there and the carrots in there and put the trivet on top, and then the pork tenderloin is going to go right on the trivet. You could just put the tenderloin on top of the potatoes and carrots if you wanted to. I just wanted it to sit up off of the vegetables because I'm making mashed potatoes, so I didn't really want the pork sitting on top of the potatoes for this meal. See, it's all nice and brown and yummy. And we're just going to brown the other side. It was about 35 degrees here last night, so we're definitely feeling the fall in Indiana. I know I've seen a lot of people saying that they're ready for fall and waiting for fall, and it's still hot where they are, but it has definitely cooled off here. So I was definitely feeling the fall vibes. Definitely wanted some pork and apples. It's really good together this time of year, and mashed potatoes, just some really yummy comfort food. Pork, carrots, mashed potatoes, and some delicious apple cobbler. You can't go wrong. It's so delicious, I'm telling you. Once you try this, you're gonna love it. And the recipe for the apple cobbler is so easy. It's only 3 ingredients, and that's it. See, our meat's just about done. I'm gonna brown that little edge there, and then flip it over and brown the other edge because you can see it there. It needs to be browned. Searing the meat like this just helps hold in the flavor. Keeps the juices in. And this only takes about 15 minutes to cook. Once we get everything in the pot and get the lid on, it's only 15 minutes to cook it, but there is also 10 minutes for it to come up to pressure, and then 10 minutes at the end for it to depressurize. I let it naturally pressure release on its own for this recipe. So you just add a little water in there, and that deglazes the pan because you want all those yummy little bits of meat and seasoning for your gravy. So you just leave that in there. And that's pretty easy to do, as you can tell. And now we're gonna add in our potatoes very carefully because the pot is still warm. And I'm just gonna add in those 6 small potatoes this time. I was gonna use those other 2 larger potatoes that I have sitting there, but I don't think we need that many, and they're a little bit too big to fit underneath the trivet. So we're just not going to use those this time. But I did pre-wash and scrub the potatoes with my little potato scrubber. And now we're going to add in the baby carrots. And I just keep them separated because at the end, when this is done, I pull out the carrots and put them on a platter with the meat. And then I pull out the potatoes and put them in a bowl so I can mash them. See, the trivet just fits right on top of the vegetables. Add in a cup of water. You do need to have liquid when you're using the Instant Pot to get it to come up to pressure, and that way nothing sticks in the bottom. So there's our pork tenderloin. Just gonna put that right on top of the trivet. And then we're going to take the lid and just secure that on. And we want to make sure our knob is turned to sealing, not venting. We want it on sealing. And then we're going to turn the pot on manual. And we're cooking this meal for 15 minutes in the Instant Pot. It does take 10 minutes to come up to pressure and 10 minutes to naturally release the pressure. And see, once it comes up to heat, it switches from the timer to on. And it starts to pressurize inside. You get a lot of steam and some spitting and sputtering as it's coming up to pressure. And that's normal with the Instant Pot. It should do that. Once the pin drops, there won't be any steam and there won't be any of the sputtering coming out of there. And then once it is up to pressure, it'll start counting down on your time. So it's done now. We're going to switch it over to venting because it did naturally release for 10 minutes, so there is no steam coming out, but I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any pressure in the pot. And you can see our vegetables are done and our pork tenderloin is all done. So I'm just going to cut it and check it and make sure that it's all done in the middle and it looks delicious. So we'll just pull that out and put that on a platter. And then I'll slice that all up and serve it family style on the platter. I'm going to remove the trivet and just put all the carrots on the platter with the meat. And then I'm going to take all the potatoes and put them in a bowl so that way I can mash them up. And I use about 3 or 4 tablespoons of butter and about 4 tablespoons of milk. You can use a little bit more milk and butter if you want to taste, and then add salt and pepper. And these are really easy to mash. I don't even use a potato masher or anything. I just mash them up with a fork. You can use a little mixer or something like that if you want to, but this is just super easy. You don't have to have any special gadgets to make these potatoes. Add a little pink Himalayan salt. That salt has a lot of good minerals in it. And add in some pepper. And then just start mashing them up. You can cut them up in half and then mash them down. I like the red potatoes. I like to leave the skins on. I think they're really good that way. But if you don't like the skin, you can always peel it off before you cook the potatoes and then mash them without the skin on it. But we love it with the skin. It's really good. On our platter, ready to go for dinner. We just serve it up family style at the table for our family, and it's easier that way. So our pan's got about maybe a cup of water in there, maybe a little less. We'll just open up our gravy packet and sprinkle in a little bit as we go, and then keep stirring it constantly so it doesn't get lumpy and stick. And I just turned the Instant Pot on sauté while I'm doing this to get the pan warm. Sprinkle in a little bit more of the gravy mix and just stir it up and keep stirring so it's not lumpy, because lumpy gravy is really gross. This is our yummy apple cobbler dessert. And it's just 120-ounce can of apple pie filling. Just dump that into a bowl. I'm using a Pyrex bowl because this is a pot and pot Instant Pot recipe. And we're going to put this bowl right into the Instant Pot. You can use a springform pan or anything else if you have something like that, but a glass bowl is just fine. Anything that you would bake with in the oven will work inside your Instant Pot as long as it fits inside the pot. So we'll just push those down a little bit and get them all nice and even. And then it takes 2 cups of yellow cake mix. You can use white cake mix or spiced cake mix if you want. That's really good too. And then we're just gonna level out the cake mix. We're not mixing this in because we don't want it mixed into the apple, just on top of the apples. Once you get that all smoothed out, then I'm gonna add in the 2nd cup of cake batter. And we'll just get that all evened out. And then you can see how it's nice and layered there. It's not mixed in to the apples because that's just your topping. And then I have about 4 tablespoons of butter, and that just gets dumped right on top of the apple cobbler, and it doesn't get mixed in to the cake batter. It just gets spread out on top. And then once you feel like it's nice and even, you can go ahead and put your foil on top of your dish and just get it as tight of a seal as you can around the top. That way your cake isn't soggy once it starts cooking in the Instant Pot. Take the trivet and just put it in the bottom of the Instant Pot and add a cup of water. You do have to have some kind of liquid for the Instant Pot to come up to pressure. And just putting your pan right on the trivet is going to keep it out of that water and help the steam move around the dish. We're ready to put the lid on. Just get that latched into place. And make sure that your nozzle is turned to sealing, not venting. And then turn the Instant Pot on to manual. And we're going to cook this for 25 minutes. And it's on once it starts to heat up and come up to pressure. And now that it's finished, we're going to turn the nozzle to venting and have it release the pressure inside the pot. This recipe does not need to naturally release. You just want to quick release the pressure and then open up the pot and take the cake out so it doesn't continue to cook. And then I always check the apple cobbler and make sure there's not any powder left from the cake in there. Just check it with a fork, and you can see there's just a little bit there. It's still a little bit moist. So this time I put it in the oven on 400 and just broiled it for a couple minutes to brown up the top. You don't have to do that, but I like the top a little bit more crisp than it was, and it turned out absolutely delicious. And you can add some vanilla ice cream on top, or some caramel sauce, or a little bit of whipped cream if you want to, or just have it plain without any of that on there. It's delicious either way. I love it with ice cream. So I hope you and your family enjoy these recipes, and they're a quick, easy weeknight meal for you. Thanks for watching. I hope you subscribe. Bye.